just going to be doing a little Wikipedia article reading of China. And also going to be whispering and going to be eating this big plate of spaghetti with red sauce. So I'll get started on here. Give me one sec here. Okay, so China. Officially, the People's Republic of China is a country in East Asia. With a population exceeding 1.4 billion, it is the world's second most populous country. China spans the equivalent of 5 time zones and borders 14 countries by land. With an area of nearly 9.6 million square kilometers, 3,700,000 square miles, it is the third largest country by total land area. The country is divided into 33 province-level divisions. Inclusive of 22 provinces, 5 autonomous regions, 4 municipalities, and 2 semi-autonomous, special administrative regions. Beijing is the national capital, while Shanghai is its most populous city and largest financial center. The region has been inhabited since the Paleolithic era. That sounds like a long time. Early Chinese dynasties, such as the Xia, Shang, and Zhou, emerged in the basins of the Yellow River before the late 2nd millennium BCE. The 8th to 3rd centuries BCE saw a breakdown in Zhou authority and significant conflicts such as the emergence of literature, philosophy, and historiography. In 221 BCE, China was unified under an emperor for the first time. So you can get some more spaghetti here. Appointed non-hereditary officials began ruling countries instead of aristocracy, ushering in more than 2 millennia of imperial dynasties, including the Qin, Han, Tang, Yuan, Ming, and Qing, or Qing maybe, with the intention of gunpowder and paper, the establishment of the Silk Road, and the building of the Great Wall. Chinese culture, including languages, traditions, architecture, philosophy, and technology, flourished and has heavily influenced East Asia and beyond. After decades of struggle, the monarchy was overthrown in 1912, and the Republic of China, ROC, was established. despite China's eventual victory in the Second Sino-Japanese War and the Pacific War in general, numerous atrocities, such as the Nanjing Massacre, left lasting effects on the country. Concurrently, during this period, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and the Kuomintang KMT government were fighting sporadically since 1927, with a brief truce as a united front when Japan began invading the country. The second phase of the Civil War resumed not long after Japan was defeated by 1949. The CPP had established control on most of the territories of the ROC, with the notable exception being the island of Taiwan. As the KMT retreated into Taiwan, the country was split, with both sides claiming to be the sole legitimate government of China. After the land reforms, later attempts to realize communism were deemed failures. The Great Leap Forward led to a massive famine of millions of citizens, while the Cultural Revolution caused a chaotic period of persecution and zealous populism. In 1971, the PRC replaced the ROC as China's representation in the United Nations. Following the Sino-Soviet split, the Shanghai Communique in 1972 marked the beginning of normalization of relations with the United States. Economic reforms that began in 1978, led by reformists within the CCP, moved the country away from a planned economy toward an increasingly capitalistic market economy. Although liberal political reforms stalled after the June 4th in 1989, with the CCP surviving the revolutions that same year, which befell most of the former Eastern Bloc. Okay. China is a unitary one-party socialist republic led by the CCP. It is a founding member of the UN and one of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. It is a founding member of several multilateral and regional organizations such as the AIIB, the Silk Road Fund, the New Development Bank, and RCEP. It is a member of the BRICS, the G20, APEC, the SCO, and the East Asia Summit, making up around 1/5 of the world economy. The Chinese economy is the world's largest economy by GDP. purchasing power parity, the second largest economy by nominal GDP, and the second wealthiest country, albeit ranking poorly in measures of democracy and human rights. The country has been one of the fastest growing major economies and is the world's largest manufacturer and exporter, as well as the second largest importer. China is a nuclear weapon state with the world's largest standing army by military personnel and the second largest defense budget. It is a great power and a regional power. History. Prehistory. Archaeological evidence suggests that early hominids inhabited China 2.25 million years ago. The hominid fossils of Peking man, the Homo erectus who used fire, have been dated to between 680,000 and 780,000 years ago. The fossilized teeth of Homo sapiens, dated to 125,000 to 80,000 years ago, have been discovered in Fuyang Cave. Chinese proto-writing existed in Jiahu around 6,600 BCE, at Damadi around 6,000 BCE, Datawang from 5,800 to 5,400 BCE, and Banpo dating from the 5th millennium BCE. Some scholars have suggested that Jiahu symbols, 7th millennium BCE, constituted the earliest Chinese writing systems. Yeah. Early dynastic rule. According to traditional Chinese historiography, the Xia dynasty was established during the late 3rd millennium BC, marking the beginning of the dynastic cycle that was understood to underpin China's entire political history. In the modern era, the Xia's historicity came under increasing scrutiny, in part due to the earliest known attestation of Xia being written millennia after the date given for their collapse in 1959. Archaeologists discovered sites belonging to early Zhou culture that existed during the early Bronze Age, and they have since been characterized as the remains of historical Xia, but this conception is often rejected. The Shang dynasty that traditionally succeeded this year is the earliest for which there is both contemporary written words and disputed archaeological evidence. The Shang ruled much of the Yellow River Valley until the 11th century BCE, with the earliest hard evidence dating to c. 1300 BCE. The Oracle bone script, attested from c. 1250 BCE, generally assumed to be considerably older, represents the oldest known form of written Chinese and is the direct ancestor of modern Chinese characters. The Shang was overthrown by the Zhao, who returned between the 11th and 5th centuries BCE, though the centralized authority of Tianzi was slowly eroded by Fengjian lords. Some principalities eventually emerged from the weakened Zhao and continually waged war with each during the 300-year spring and autumn period. By the time the Warring States period of the 5th to 3rd centuries BCE, there were 7 major powerful states left: Imperial China, Qin and Han. The Warring States period ended in 221 BCE after the state of Qin conquered the other 6 states, reunited China, and established the dominant order of autocracy. King Zheng of Qin proclaimed himself the emperor of the Qin dynasty, becoming the first emperor of unified China. He enacted Qin's legalist reforms, notably the standardization of Chinese characters, measurements, road widths, and currency. His dynasty also conquered the Yu tribes of Guangxi, Guangdong, and northern Vietnam. The Qin dynasty lasted only 15 years, falling soon after the first emperor's death. Following widespread revolts, during which the Imperial Library was burned, the Han Dynasty emerged to rule China between 206 BCE and CE 220, creating a cultural identity among its populace, still remembered by the ethnonym of the modern Han Chinese. The Han expanded the empire's territory considerably, with military campaigns reaching Central Asia, Mongolia, Korea, and Yunnan, and the recovery of Guangdong and northern Vietnam from Nanyue. Central Asia and Sogdia helped establish the land route of the Silk Road, replacing the earlier path over the Himalayas to India. Han China became the largest economy of the ancient world, despite the Han's initial decentralization and the official abandonment of the Qin philosophy of legalism in favor of Confucianism. Qin's legalist institutions and policies continued to be employed by the Han government and its successors. Three kingdoms, Jin, Northern and Southern dynasties. After the end of the Han dynasty, a period of strife known as Three Kingdoms followed, at the end of which Wei was swiftly overthrown by the Jin dynasty. The Jin fell to civil war upon the ascension of developmentally disabled emperor. The five barbarians then rebelled and ruled northern China as the 16 states. The Xianbei unified them as the Northern Wei, whose emperor Xiao Wen reversed his predecessors' apartheid policies and enforced a drastic sinification of his subjects. In the south, the general Liu Yu secured the abdication of the Jin in favor of Liu Song. The various successors of these states became known as the Northern and Southern dynasties, with two areas finally reunited by the Sui in 581. Sui, or it's spelled S-U-I, I'm not sure about it, Tang and Song. The Sui restored the Han to power through China, reformed its agriculture, economy, and imperial examination system, constructed by the Grand Canal, and patronized Buddhism. However, they fell quickly when their conscription for public works and a failed war in northern Korea provoked widespread unrest. Under the succeeding Tang and Song dynasties, Chinese economy, technology, and culture entered a golden age. The Tang dynasty retained control of the western regions and the Silk Road, which brought traders to as far as Mesopotamia and the Horn of Africa, and made the capital Chang'an a cosmopolitan urban center. However, it was devastated and weakened by the An Lushan rebellion in the 8th century. In 907, the Tang disintegrated completely when the local military governors became ungovernable. The Song dynasty ended the separatist situation in 1960, leading to a balance of power between the Song and Liao dynasty. The Song was the first government in world history to issue paper money and the first Chinese polity to establish a permanent navy, which was supported by the developed shipbuilding industry along with the sea trade. Between the 10th and 11th century CE, the population of China doubled to around 100 million people, mostly because of the expansion of rice cultivation in central and southern China and the production of abundant food surpluses. The Song dynasty also saw revival of Confucianism in response to the growth of Buddhism during the Tang and a flourishing of philosophy and arts as landscape art and porcelain were brought to new levels of complexity. However, the military weakness of the Song army was observed by the Jin dynasty. In 1127, Emperor Huizong of the Song and the capital Tianjin were captured during the Jin-Song Wars. The remnants of the Song retreated to southern China. Yuan, the Mongol conquest of China, began in 1205 with the gradual conquest of western Xia by Genghis Khan, who also invaded Jin territories. In 1271, the Mongol leader Kublai Khan established the Yuan dynasty, which conquered the last remnant of Song dynasty in 1279. Before the Mongol invasion, the population of Song China was 120 million citizens. This was reduced to 60 million by the time of the census in 1300. A peasant named Chu Yuanzhang overthrew the Yuan in 1368 and founded the Ming dynasty as Hongwu emperor. Under the Ming dynasty, China enjoyed another golden age, developing one of the strongest navies in the world and a rich, prosperous economy amid a flourishing art and culture, It was during this period that Admiral Zheng He led the Ming treasure voyages throughout the Indian Ocean, reaching as far as East Africa. Ming. In the early Ming dynasty, China's capital was moved from Nanjing to Beijing, with Taoism. Philosophers such as Wang and Yan Ming critiqued and expanded Neo-Confucianism with the concepts of individualism and equality of four occupations. The scholar official stratum became a supporting force of industry and commerce in the tax boycott movements, which, together with the famines and defense against Japanese invasions of Korea 1592 to 1598, and later Qing incursions, led to an exhausted treasury. In 1644, Beijing was captured by a coalition of peasant rebel forces led by Li Zicheng. The Zhongzhen incursions the Zhongzhen emperor committed suicide when the city fell. The Manchu Qing dynasty, then allied with Ming dynasty general Wu Zhangui, overthrew Li's short-lived Shen dynasty and subsequently seized control over Beijing, which became the new capital of the Qing dynasty, or Qing dynasty. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Q-U-I.